Chapter 2 of Mysteries of Creation, Wonders of the Universe, page 12, by Ogden, Kraut. Wonders of the Universe. Complexities of our universe, galaxies, and solar system. The vast complexities of the universe extend far beyond the shallow confines of our mortal minds. We have only scratched the surface of knowledge pertaining to this world, not to mention the rest of creation. Our sun is only a speck among the endless galaxies that compose our universe, as clearly described below. But great and glorious as the sun is, and seemingly so much greater than every other object in the sky, it is really only a tiny fragment, a mere speck in a magnificent starry empire of which it is part. It is less to the material universe at large than a globule to our globe, or a speck of sand. Anyway, with all its of preposterous orbs, it is only one of innumerable hosts of such suns and systems. There are myriads of stars in space, immeasurably greater than it. End quote. The Gospel and the Stars, Joseph A. Seiss, page 9 and 10. Is it any wonder that Moses, after being shown just the world upon which he was created, and the ends thereof, said, "Now for this cause I know that man is nothing, which thing I had never supposed." Moses chapter 8, verse 9, Moses chapter 1, verse 8 and 10. This book is dealing mostly with the creation of just our earth, but to better understanding of the magnitude and power involved in its creation, it is important to know a little about the entire universe and our Earth's relationship to it. Page 13. Mortal man stands in awe of the wonders of the universe. Its beauties, balances, and perfections are beyond the grasp of man's finite mind. But it is not just with the natural eye that some of these wonders can be seen. Through the microscope, many more astounding perfections can be appreciated, and through the telescope one can observe the expanse of the sun, moon, and stars as they revolve in perfect harmony. Pertaining to just our earth, the balances in nature on the land, under the sea, and in the heavens provide evidence of how all things are kept under the utmost control. The organization of every living thing is another wonder that baffles men of science. The natural machinery of every physical body, with its plumbing, electrical, sensory, heating and cooling, massive library, photographic, and energy systems, is beyond comprehension. Then, in addition, how these pieces of machinery can repair themselves are all wonders indeed. Growing further, the construction of our planet Earth staggers the imagination. Such a masterpiece is beyond our comprehension. The exact tilt of this sphere to cause our seasons, the needed percentage of oxygen for so many breathing things, the proper distance to the sun and moon to give us the right temperatures, tides, etc., and just the right size and circuitry of the Earth for the proper weight, densities, and environment. These are just a few of the magnificent wonders of our little planet. They are a constant display of ingenious mathematical, chemical, and constructural engineering. We live in a day when interplanetary exploration is becoming commonplace. We now have spacecraft that can travel through our solar system, photographing other planets as they pass by them. To the scientists, the universe is a frontier of great adventure, as the West was for Daniel Boone. To the philosopher, it is beauty. To the poet, it is exotic verse. But to the religionist, the universe is a revelation on the purpose of life and the creations of the heavens. Page 14. Man builds a house by design, planning, mathematics, and proper architectural structure. But this is just minor intelligence at work when compared to the complexities and perfection of the earth and the universe. To further portray the vastness of galaxies in the universe, Dr. Werner von Braun, the space scientist, explained, "I cannot believe that the power which created life and order confined all sensible organisms to this comparatively tiny planet. Our sun is one of 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Our galaxy is one of billions of stars populating the universe. It would be the height of presumption to think that we are the only thing living in that enormous immensity." Evidences of God in the Expanding Universe, page 84. Before we proceed further, let's consider a brief definition of 3 of the terms that are mentioned in this chapter, going from the largest to the smallest: the universe, the totality of all things that exist; galaxy, any innumerable large groupings of stars, typically containing millions to hundreds of billions of stars. Our galaxy is the Milky Way. Solar system, the sun and all heavenly bodies that revolve around it. There are about a dozen large planets in our solar system, and he'd have to be talking about the moons as well as the planets. And actually, there's a lot more than that, but this was written 30, 40 years ago. So anyway, many new discoveries reveal principles of astronomy never known before, such as the gyroscopic action of all the solar system. Dr. Melvin Cook, noted scientist, explained how the planets seemingly hang out in space. Quote, "I had the assignment of reviewing a scientific article on gravitation in which was shown that all terrestrial," I don't know how to say that word, I'm sorry, in accurate correlation, each relating with precision to the universal gravitational constant G. These include the rotations of the Earth around the Sun, the axial rotation of the Earth, and all gyroscopic and other I don't know how to say that word of the Earth, even including the secondary wobbles of the Earth. These same sort of periodic motions are eventually similarly correlated in all the planets and between all the planets as far as they are now known. And the correlation in periodic motions extend, I think, to all the heavenly bodies, not only of the solar system, but into the much greater system, our galaxy, into the clusters of galaxies, and throughout the whole universe, even to the first and foremost creation. Collogue, Creation and Externalism, pamphlet. It's a pamphlet, apparently, page 12. We know that our solar system is only a very small part of a huge island galaxy, of which we are a little Milky Way. Our Milky Way appears to be a great cloud, which is usually actually a composite of billions of stars or suns. Estimates by a series of plottings reveal that our little system is composed of nearly 200 billion stars, and if we were to travel at the speed of light, it would take us just a scant 100 billion years to travel across this tiny galaxy. We begin to realize the size of space when we know there are billions more galaxies out there, and some much larger than our own. There are many other stars or suns much bigger than ours. For instance, Rigel, the brightest star in Orion, emits 13,000 times more light than our sun. Betelgeuse is another star which would fill all the space between our Earth and our sun. Some are larger than that by nearly 5 times. It is interesting to compare these enormous creations to the smallest creation, the atom. A marvel of engineering by design. Let me just say, we're talking 40 years ago. Okay, that's when this book was written. So there's things that they've found that are way smaller than the atom. Anyway, and conclude that their constructions are basically the same. From the smallest to the greatest creations in the universe, construction is based upon the same principles, but certainly none of them came about by just chance. Page 16. The scientist Paley described the impossibility of chance creating our solar system by comparing it to a man walking in the forest and finding a watch in operating condition with the correct time. By this simple discovery, he knew that some person of intelligence had created that watch and that it had not been formed by some accidental creation in the forest. Let me say also, the word in Hebrew, when they're talking about in Genesis create, that doesn't mean to create out of nothing or thin air. It actually means to create or to organize. So when Jesus says, I organized the world before the, or I organized this, whatever, or I created all things, the same word there is organize. He organized the armies in heaven. He organized, or he helped organize different things. Same word for create. It's in the Hebrew. Anyway, continuing. The watch was evidence of intelligent display through the intricate creation and placement of wheels, cogs, hands, casing, and glass cover. He said the wonders of the universe are far more complex and display much more intelligence than a functional watch found by chance in the forest. And another scientist used a similar parallel in describing the impossibility of the Earth's existence by chance, comparing it to a huge volcano exploding and its molten lava accidentally pouring out a new automobile with gas in the tank and the engine running. Great men of science and religion agree. Both scientists and religionists continue to ponder over the method of creation and speculate as to its origin, but most admit that a superintelligence had to be the organizer and controller of such perfection. In 1540, Nicholas Copernicus proved against all previous conceptions that the earth rotated around the sun. He recognized the handiwork of God in the universe. Quote, among the many and varied literary and artistic studies upon which the natural talent of man is nourished, I think that those above all should embrace and pursue with greatest zeal, which have to do with the things that are very beautiful and very worthy of knowledge. Such studies are those which deal with the godlike circular movements of our world, the course of the stars, their magnitudes, distances, risings and settings, and the causes of other celestial phenomena, and which finally explicate the whole form. For what could be more beautiful than the heavens, which contained all beautiful things? For the divine psalmist surely did not say graciously that he took pleasure in the workings of God and rejoiced in the works of his hands, unless by means of these things, as some sort of vehicle, we are transported to the contemplation of the highest good. Revolutions of Celestial Spheres, The World's Greatest Thinkers, Volume 4, pages 43 and 44. About 100 years later, another scientist, Pascal, I don't know how to say that, Blaise Pascal, also gave God the credit for creating the world. As a philosopher, he wrote arguments for the Christian faith that superseded the best theologians. Quote, let man contemplate the whole of nature in her full and grand majesty, and turn his visions from the low object which surround him. Let him gaze on that brilliant light, set like an eternal lamp to illuminate the universe. Let the earth appear to him a point in comparison with the vast circles described by the sun, and let him wonder at the fact that this vast circle is by itself but a very fine point in comparison with that described by the stars in their revolution round the firmament. The whole visible world is only an imperceptible atom in the ample bosom of nature. No idea approaches it. In short, it is the greatest sensible mark of the Almighty God that imagination loses itself in that thought. World's Great Thinkers, Volume 1, page 199. And like it would take to understand and comprehend the universe It would take the mind of God, or an infinite mind, to even, like, we can't even begin it, but it is wonderful, and it's magnificent. And just to ponder over these things is just, I mean, you really have to open up your mind. I don't know. Anyway, one of the greatest minds of our time, Dr. Albert Einstein, recognized the existence of a great creator. Quote, "The harmony of natural law reveals an intelligence of such superiority that compared with it, all the systematic thinking and acting of human beings is insignificant relation. The world as I see it," Einstein, page 267. Dr. Einstein once visited Elder B.H. Roberts in his office in Salt Lake City. During their conversations, Elder Roberts was called out of his office for a few minutes. When he returned, Einstein was looking through Roberts' library and thumbing through the book Wonders of the Universe by Orson Pratt. "Who is this fellow Pratt?" Einstein inquired. Roberts told him a little about Orson's life and works, and Einstein replied, quote, "There were not a half-dozen men on the earth at that time who understood the principles that this man was writing about," end quote. It should be noted here that Pratt's book Wonders of the Universe has been used as a text at the Royal Academy of Science in England. It is a study on the principles of astronomy, and he attributes the existence of all these heavenly orbs to a great creator. Quote, "When you study all things, you are learning lessons concerning God. He it is who has thus organized all these materials of nature, has given them their priorities, endowed with them their placed them in certain proportions, or as one of the inspired writers says, he has weighed the mountains in the balance. Everything is adjusted in the best possible manner to carry on his operation throughout the great universe which he has constructed," end quote. Wonders of the Universe, page 206. Astronomers and scientists may understand the composition, size, and course of many of the planets and stars, but most of them do not comprehend the origin, the power, and the purpose of these creations. With all their worldly learning, men cannot even begin to comprehend the wonders of the universe without revelation from God. Fortunately, he has given further light and knowledge to his prophets, such as Abraham, Job, Isaiah, Moses, and David. Thousands of years ago, they were better informed about the mysteries of creation than the scientists of today, but unfortunately, only a small part of this knowledge has been recorded. Abraham, according to Brigham Young, could tell us more in 5 minutes about astronomy than is known by all the scientists in the world. For example, quote, it is given unto thee, Abraham, to know the set time of all the stars that are set to give light, until thou comest near unto the throne of God. Thus I, Abraham, talked with the Lord face to face, as one man talketh with another. And he told me of the works which his hands had made. And he said unto me, my son, and his hand was stretched out. Behold, I will show you all these. And he put his hand upon mine eyes, and I saw those things which his hand had made, which were many, and they multiplied before mine eyes, and I could not see the end thereof. Abraham chapter 3, verse 10 through 12. The importance of Abraham's... looks like we're about to lose power here. The importance of Abraham's account of creation is emphasized by Dr. Frank Salisbury. Quote, upon more careful study of the book of Abraham, it became interestingly apparent to me why the book was restored to mankind. There is valuable historical information in the first 2 chapters, and chapter 3 is a marvelous view of the insight held by some of the ancients into the workings of the universe. The realities of the God who created it and his special abode in it, the creation of the creation story itself proves to be unique and a marvelous view of creation. It is probably the greatest insight available to man today into the nature of God's creative powers. Our power. Creation is portrayed not as an act of magic, but as the application of a supreme intelligence, truly a divine engineering. There was planning and preparation. Councils were held. Nothing like this is apparent from the Genesis or the Moses accounts. Nothing could be more important for modern man to understand. End quote. The Creation, Salisbury, page 83. Job also must have understood a great deal of the universe. Is not God in the height of heaven? And behold, the height of the stars, how high are they? And thou sayest, how doth God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are covering to him that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. Job chapter